My first memory would be my dad taking me to my first race. I was at Silverstone. I actually remember the noise. I think the noise was the first thing that got to me, the screaming V10 engines. I was hooked from the very beginning. My dad was a huge adrenaline junkie. He loved driving cars and racing cars, and he was racing Renault 5s. He would race against his brother. They used to save up and go racing around the UK. I would go along with him, and that was it really. I think it was a weirdly aggressive passion for me as I was a kid. So my dad bought me my first go-kart when I was 7 years old. You have to be 8 years old to drive a kart on a racetrack. So between 7 to 8, there was a farm next to our house, and I were used to, after school, basically just go around in the barn. The barns would have kind of concrete down. He would get some bricks and lay them in a row, so it was almost like a slalom, and I would kind of go in and out, in and out. My dad would have a stopwatch, and for a year that was pretty much what I did. And then he took me to my first racetrack when I was 8, and that was it, started from there. I would say my proudest moment would be the first race in Formula 1. I think it's the feeling of being a Formula 1 driver. We all have life goals in what we want to do, and most drivers would say it's being a F1 world champion. But the first goal is to become a Formula 1 driver, to be sitting on the grid. I remember the feeling of, Martin Brundle was doing the interviews down the pit lane. It was very special, so very nerve-wracking at the time, but I enjoyed that moment, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. The thing I like most about Formula 1, it's quite hard to pinpoint because it's a lot of things at once, but what I enjoy a lot is just this pursuit for excellence and perfection. I think when you look around the paddock and within the factory, you can see everyone's achieving and striving to achieve the best in everything they do, and to be able to be surrounded in a culture that's just wanting absolute perfection is very exciting, and it's inspiring as well to be a part of. Personal goals, I'm not a very results-driven person. I think the results come from all the work that you do behind the scenes. So there's a couple of areas I want to improve personally as a driver. Maximising some situations. I felt like last year there were some areas that I could have done better at. So little things. Every year you kind of have these 2 or 3 things that you just want to be better in. We're in Formula 1, but we're still far from being perfect. So just trying to be a better racing driver. For the next generation, it is tough because racing is becoming more and more expensive, and I think when I first started, it was my dad was my mechanic, my engineer, my driver coach. It was all that kind of thing at once. Nowadays, you're 8 years old, you have to be in part of a racing team. My advice would be, if you're not from that background, it's very important to be a business person as well. You need to know how to speak to people, attract sponsors, and be able to fund your racing. So don't look at it just as you got to drive fast. You really need the full package.